I'd like to call to order Greenwood Advisory Plan Commission for Monday, October 28th, 2024. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from October 14th, 2024. We hear a motion?
I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Mr. Lexi. We have a second by Mr. King. Any questions about the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Whoa,
Oh,
you have
Oh,
a member
that's
who
right.
is participating electronically.
Mr. Walker's here electronically.
If we can see and hear Mr. Walker, all votes must be taken by roll call.
Yes. Mr. Lexi.
Aye.
Mr. Walker.
Aye.
Mr. Price.
Aye.
Mr. Milborn.
Aye.
Mr. Probst.
Aye.
Mr. King.
Aye.
Ms. Stambaugh.
Aye.
Mr. St. John.
Aye.
And I also am an aye. Minutes are approved by a vote of 9-0. Are there any special requests or continuances? Seeing none.
I was gonna mention one thing just for you to entertain. It's not a necessity. We do have the comprehensive plan common council amendment on the agenda tonight. And I have a feeling that the other two petitions may take a substantial amount of time. I was wondering if you wanted to move that forward on the agenda for Adam to speak or for staff to speak about the amendment, or if we wanted to proceed as the agenda was written.
I would entertain a motion on that.
So moved.
To
Bring it up first.
I'll second that.
bring it up first or continue?
Oh, you said continue.
I said to bring it up. I meant to
On the agenda to move it, the item to the top of the
continue it to
agenda.
the front.
To move it to the front.
I'm moving to move it to the front.
Motion made.
And I second that.
Mr. Probst.
Yeah.
We have a motion by Mr. King, and a second by Mr. Probst. All those in favor, please show by raising a hand. Oh, I'm sorry, we're back on that again. We'll start with a roll call vote, and if I ever do it properly from the beginning, we'll do the next one from the beginning. Mr. Lexi.
Aye.
Mr. Walker.
Aye.
Mr. Price.
Aye.
Mr. Milborn.
Aye.
Mr. Probst.
Aye.
Mr. King.
Aye.
Ms. Stambaugh.
Aye.
Mr. St. John.
Aye.
And I'll become an aye as well. So, the first item on the new business agenda is the comprehensive plan common council amendment.
So I can start. You all should have received in the agenda the common council amendment. I put together a little cover page just to give you an explanation of your next steps. And it also had a link to both the unamended and the amended plan. Essentially what happened is common council for Indiana code provided you with a written statement of their reasons for amending the advisory plan commission certified comprehensive plan. The statement is located on the second page of what I had sent you. And tonight you have the option to approve the comprehensive plan. You could disapprove or reject the amendment. And then you would have to basically write a report to the common council, and it would go back to them for them to either approve or deny. Or if you do nothing, I believe after 60 days, it would be de facto approved. The common council made two changes. They were on page 77. A portion of stop 18 was removed. It was the portion extending through the Freedom Park, which also went to the north-south road on the west side. And I'm drawing a blank right now. Honey Creek, thank you. And then the other page was page 90. They removed the second paragraph from page 90, which discusses connectivity. At this time, you're welcome to discuss, deliberate, or ask any questions. You have your options before you.
Anybody from the commission want to lead off?
I have a quick question. With the original write-up of the comprehensive plan, what was the intention for stop 18 to continue? Was it for through traffic or was it for ease or what was the actual intention?
Yeah, so part of it was to provide a greater access to Freedom Park. It's intended to be a regional park. Right now, it only has one access coming in from the east. It actually goes past a school there. The park had a master plan to wind through, and off of that road, there would be parking lots built off of it to allow for greater access to different parts of the park. With it, we actually have some infrastructure in the park right now that is there to support the road, and we have the right of way behind Brighton Estates that's already been in place for quite some time. So part of it was to increase access, especially with this being one of our larger, more regional parks. So bringing in more people from the west, someone who lives west of the park doesn't have to go around into and come back through the school. So that was part of it. And then the other aspect is that it's something that is in the parks master plan. And they don't necessarily need authority from common council to build a road on their property, and it is something that they had planned to do. The comprehensive plan should be something that is looking at other city plans in the city and kind of compiling them, showing them, demonstrating them to the public. So another reason it was on there was simply because it's a part of the parks plan, and it's been in our comprehensive plans going back to the I think it was I'm forgetting all my dates, but it was like the 1980s, really. It's been on there since the oldest comp plan I could find.
One of the concerns I had with this was with April Drive having been completed from Honey Creek over to Everett Road, would that become the thoroughfare?
I guess I can't so much speak to what may happen, but I would say if you limit connections, it will require people to use the limited connections that are in the network.
Let me just rephrase it, say I have a concern that that's what would happen to that, to April Drive. And I think a lot of the concern from residents of Brighton Place was traffic through their subdivision. Didn't the plan have this go to that little 200-foot section of boulevard south of the subdivision and then connect to Honey Creek across from the subdivision across the west side of Honey Creek? So it really bypasses Brighton Place.
It would be south of Brighton Place. Some of the backs of the yards would back up to the right of way, but there would be pedestrian facilities, and the right of way was there with their subdivision.
I feel like I should add, this was heavily debated at city council.
6-3.
6-3 to remove this extension from the park. And that was after a tremendous amount of public input, which I'm not sure if we have it tonight, in favor of removing the stop 18 extension through the park.
Does staff have a recommendation overall to keep it or to?
Staff recommended at common council and with and your plan commission original recommendation was to include it, and that is what I feel would be a good planning practice. I think a lot of the public concerns were regarding safety. The path was about 30 feet off. A pedestrian bike and walking path was 30 feet off from the road, and there had been no actual design plans for the road at this time. The road was curving through the park to slow traffic, and everywhere in the city we have sidewalks and paths that run adjacent to roads. I really don't think it was a real issue. Another thing, the one place where pedestrian path would cross the road It was grade separated. There's actually a bridge that's currently in the park right now for this road.
The box culvert north of the pond.
Yep, box culvert.
And there's stormwater inlets and stormwater piping that follow the proposed path of this road, I believe.
What's the procedure going to be if the planning commission takes it upon itself and sends this back to the city council? Does it get sent back to the city council, or is this the final word?
It depends on
We're gonna
what you do. If you approve the plan as amended, then it is effective and the plan is adopted and considered your plan as of the date you file the report with the common council saying you have approved the amendment. If you disapprove the amended plan, then you file a report with the common council, letting them know that you have disapproved the amended plan, and the council has to adopt another resolution to confirm their amendment and adopt it as amended.
So it could essentially go back and forth and back and forth.
No, it doesn't
It's
go back
just
and
one
forth,
time.
it goes back to one time.
The one time, and then council would have the final say, and if they were to affirm their amendment, it would be approved by common council.
And as the elected body, that's where the final say belongs.
Correct, the final say is with the legislative body.
This issue's been debated for a year and a half at least. And the result of common council was a 6-3 vote to remove the extension of stop 18 through the park for the reasons Gabe referenced, primarily safety. The people who use the park like its scenery, so to speak. They don't want a road cutting right through the middle of their park as they see it. Concerned that it would be turned into a drag strip of sorts. I have serious misgivings about sending this back to council again, given the fact that it's been debated for so long and there was so much public input at the council meeting.
Or questions or comments?
Mine's not so much that amendment. There was public input and public has spoken on the stop 18, but it's council's amendments about just general connectivity. I mean, they're starting, well, some of them are starting to step in and bring issues of connectivity in other neighborhoods where we're having to grant waivers over Stubb Street. So that's my issues with their statement is they don't seem to support connectivity in all situations, and that's a best practice in planning is where substreets they should connect. I mean, we've seen issues. I mean, the one neighborhood in question had a house fire. We had to close a major artery because fire equipment couldn't fit in the neighborhood or approach it from all sides. So if that neighborhood had connectivity, we probably would not have a house burned to the ground.
Well, a motion would have to be comprehensive to both of these items.
Yes, it's in total all or nothing. You are voting on the amended plan. However many amendments, it's the plan as amended. You either approve the plan as amended or you disapprove the plan as amended.
Anybody else?
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely, Mr. Walker.
Hey, thank you. So Gabe, it is the master plan. So the way I understand it, if we approve it as it sets, as it's amended, there's processes in place, like this meeting, that allows people to come back and ask for changes to that plan. But the plan is merely there to just strike a point where people can start as a starting point on further progress and development, things like that. So am I right? I mean, this isn't a set in stone thing. It's our plan moving forward, best plan that we can come up with a lot of input from the citizens of Greenwood and other stakeholders. So I feel like this should be okay to just approve, but I'm I'm just trying to get my mind wrapped around that, I guess.
Mr. Walker, to answer your question, comprehensive plan should be a living, breathing document that is continually being analyzed and revised to basically fit the vision of the community. There might be market changes. After COVID, a lot of plans for places to be all office buildings fell through with remote work. You have to look at what's happening in the world,
Right.
look at the current population and reassess continually. Although maybe I don't agree with the amendments, there are opportunities in the future to modify. The plan commission or council could direct staff to look into a chapter to add something, to revise something as we develop as a city.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
I have a question for legal. Is the amendment giving the power to the council to make all determinations of connectivity in all locations at all times?
No. That doesn't give power. The statute actually says that waivers for things like connectivity, that is in your subdivision control ordinance, that by statute is with this body. But the legislative body could change the Unified Development Ordinance and take the connectivity language out of the code. Currently, it is in there and it is required. The council cannot waive and allow prohibiting connectivity. That is only under the jurisdiction of the Plan Commission by statute.
Thank you.
So it's that paragraph. I have concerns with that.
I agree.
A majority of the council trying to insert itself into this process.
But I think what Sean just said was, it's really of little effect to those.
Correct. If you take that paragraph out, the paragraph doesn't actually take power away from anyone and give anyone power. It's just a summary that currently in our UDO, we promote connectivity and that's a good idea. And that's what you want to see in your plan. Removing that just removes that summary saying we promote connectivity, that's in our UDO and this is why we want it in our plan. To actually change that, you would have to change your zoning code, subdivision provisions in the zoning code, which is our UDO.
So I will note something, whether this was intentional or not. On page 91, there is still strategy 5.1 to evaluate and amend the Unified Development Ordinance to improve connectivity. The Common Council, Planning Commission, and Planning Division are the implementation leaders. But Sean is correct. This is a visioning guide. It's what our community is valuing, what we want new development to do. And it doesn't give or take away any power, but it sets up your community vision. I think even without this comprehensive plan, and even with our standards right now, council is already attempting to make connectivity decisions or making them, which we had seen with past petitions. So I don't know if it would change anything, I guess.
Well, it's just even the statement of it's concerning.
I agree.
I feel like without the language there, whenever a company or business or anyone who wants to come in and do something, it's not there to remind them that connectivity is something we want, that it sets the precedence for, oh, we don't need that,
Or we don't care.
or we don't care.
I think there's another risk we run. If we send this back to city council, is it accurate to say that council could more effectively amend the comprehensive plan to remove the references to connectivity, including the one on page 91 that was accidentally left in?
No, they
No?
only got, they got one pass to amend the plan. It goes to them once, they amended it, it comes back to you, and then you approve it or disapprove it. If you approve it, your comprehensive plan is adopted. as of the date you file the report. If you disapprove, then all they do is go back and they have to do a confirmatory resolution to confirm the amendment they made. They do not make further amendments.
Okay, thank you.
They can do that later. Like we said, after it's adopted, you can always come back and do an amendment process, but this is the initial adoption.
And the council has the ultimate authority, is that true?
The council has the ultimate say on the adoption.
More questions? I will accept a motion.
I move to approve the comprehensive plan as amended by council.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Lexi, and I believe a second by Mr. Walker.
Yep.
Before we do a roll call, are there any last statements or questions or comments? Seeing none. Mr. Lexi,
Aye.
Mr. Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Price,
Aye.
Mr. Milburn,
Aye.
Mr. Probst,
Aye.
Mr. King,
Nay.
Ms. Stambaugh,
Nay.
Mr. St. John,
Nay.
and I also vote nay. It passes 5-4.
So as of a report of your decision approving the amended plan will be filed, and the date of the filing will be the effective date of the comprehensive plan.
Next item of business, new business is PC 2024-054, Aviation Acres Zone Map Change. Petitioner in this case is Mr. Eric Prime, I believe. We will have a 15-minute period for the petitioner. This will be followed by 15-minute period for all remonstrators. When anybody is going to get up and comment, we must have you be sworn in at the beginning of this. After the rebuttal by after the remonstrators, then there will be a rebuttal by the petitioner for 5 minutes, and we will have 5 minutes of closing remarks by the remonstrators. So please, if anybody plans on coming to the podium and talking, please stand and be sworn in.
Do you swear on the testimony perjury, testimony is true to the best of your knowledge?
Okay, we'll start off with the petitioner, and I believe that would be Mr. Prime. One thing I'll ask, let's hold applauses and comments, leave the comments to the person at the podium. Thank you.
There are a couple of these up here from the BZA, I'll be referring to. So you may have to share a little bit, sorry. There are 4 different sections of this proposed development, so that's picture show. I have some embedded in the PowerPoint as well. For the record, Eric Prime, Van Daven Law Firm, on behalf of petitioner Taylor Morrison. We're here this evening to propose to rezone approximately 108 acres from existing residential medium and airport commercial to attached single family, which is RA under your UDO. This would allow for the new development of residential community consisting of multiple product types, including single family homes and townhomes, along with internal roadways and extensions to utility infrastructure and park infrastructure to support the development. This vicinity map will give you an idea of the area we're talking about. All of the areas outlined in blue, west of the airport, south of county line, north of Main Street. It includes the kind of square parcels directly down Airport Parkway, and then kind of the jagged piece following Pleasant Creek further to the southwest. The proposal is to put a mix of housing types on this ground. There are 4 distinct neighborhoods that are proposed. As you come south on Airport Parkway, the first area that you will come to is that orange area that will be townhomes. South of the townhomes, the yellow area will be rear load single family detached homes. And then the blue area will be a new product to this area called Cornerstone, and I'll show you some Brenda, actually, you have the packets, so the cornerstone piece is the blue. The Simplicity series then would be more traditional single-family homes along the existing residential areas to the west. So that light green is Simplicity, the blue is Cornerstone, the orange is Townhomes, and the yellow is the Edge series. So let me run through that real quick. You have them in your packet. These are the Edge series, similar to what you had in the packet that showed these are rear load, single family detached homes. Those would be in that yellow area. These are the Cornerstone homes that would be in the light blue area, and they would alternate between a forward garage and a recess garage. And they kind of pair up that way so that you have a forward and then a recess next to each other, kind of creating a courtyard area between the homes. And then the Simplicity homes would be more your typical single-family homes that would be on the far west side of the subdivision. And then these townhomes would be a mix of rear load and front load, depending on where they are situated, with the idea being to hide as much of the garages as possible. So as you flunk back to the other map real quick, as you go down Airport Parkway from the north to the south, that very first, the most northerly piece of the townhomes there would actually be front load, because you would see the rear of those as you're moving south. And then the majority of the townhomes in the two bigger blocks would be accessed by alleyways, and they would all be rear load. The only other front load townhomes in that section would back up to Pleasant Creek, and basically be kind of hidden in the back of that area, so it minimizes the garage front look as an aesthetic. So with regard to the statutory criteria, I'll run through that real quick. The first criteria is that we adhere to the comprehensive plan. This request complies with the comprehensive plan in the following ways. The real estate is located within the planning area boundary of the future land use map. The preference for single family residential. Approval of this petition will align with one of the many goals outlined in the comprehensive plan by providing for a mix of housing, varying in type, size, location, quality to meet with the housing needs of the community. The proposed development will provide a significant increase in the Greenwood tax base. Additionally, the request complies with the yet to be adopted comprehensive plan, the future use, land use of the real estate being mixed density residential and single family in the new comp plan. And staff agrees with that. They note that the area would be conditionally approved 2024 comprehensive plan. Focus area is called Aviation Acres. The city desires this space to be utilized for a mix of land uses that capitalize on the airport's ability to attract new commercial growth and the opportunity to expand existing neighborhoods to diversify housing options near downtown. So this does provide a diverse housing stock, and the area that's blank to the east of the townhomes and the Edge series, so to the east of the orange and yellow area, that will be commercial and office flex space. That will be a continuation of what's currently being done there. So you will transition from that commercial use to a slightly more dense townhomes in the Edge series, to less dense Cornerstone, to less dense Simplicity as you go to west. The second criteria is that this is the most desirable use for which the land in each district current conditions and character of the current structures and uses of each district. Is the next one, and the real estate is embedded in the area currently zoned for residential use and airport commercial. District's request is comprised of use that is consistent with that area in the district and therefore most desirable. Staff agrees with that statement and notes that single family residential neighborhoods border the proposed area on the north, south, and west. A portion of the proposed development is already zoned for residential. So the rezoning adds additional parcels for residential use, which might have otherwise been used for a different use. The third criteria is it's the most desirable use for land in each district, and the proposed development is consistent with the comprehensive plan and in harmony with the current uses of the area. This combination yields the most desirable use. Again, staff agrees with that comment and notes that the conditionally approved 2024 comprehensive plan specifically calls this area out as a focus area for mixed residential areas, as proposed by the developer. Conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction is another criteria, and we have indicated that the use of the adjacent properties would not be negatively affected because approval of this petition is consistent with the residential development in the area. Building quality housing in this area is in overall conformance with the comprehensive plan, will not negatively affect property values throughout the city. Staff agrees with that and notes that the proposed development is more likely to have a positive effect on property values in the surrounding area that's based on the proposed price points that we discussed. Then it's criteria that it's responsible development and growth, and we indicate that research shows that Greenwood is a desirable place to live, and that there's a high demand for quality housing options with a mix of types and price points. Petitioner's proposed rezoning request complies with City of Greenwood's intended uses for the area as articulated in both the old and new comprehensive plans. And I would note that staff recommends approval of this petition with 5 conditions, and the petitioner is agreeable to all 5 of those conditions as stated in your staff report. There was concern at the prior meeting that I'll go ahead and address now while I'm here. I still have some time left.
You got 6:50 left.
Yeah, I won't take up nearly as much time as I did on the other. So there was a concern about the schools. I'm going to read directly from an email from Dr. Terhune. Dear Eric, the Greenwood Schools position is regarding the possibility of Crestview Drive being extended. At this time, the district has no opposition, and a traffic study and further discussion with the developer and city planners regarding the development of the land. The district has no official position. This is for the city to determine best use of the land. We will work to ensure that the district is prepared to serve any students and families if housing is developed in the area, just as we've done with other projects. And he went on to state that there is room to grow at Northeast. Right now, Northeast has just under 400 students. It has had 500 in the past. So they believe there's sufficient capacity. I think that is all I have for you for this initial section. Happy to answer any questions after the demonstrators have their opportunity.
Okay, we will move over to remonstrators. I'd like to remind the remonstrators that please leave enough time for the other people who would like to speak, and also please avoid repetitious testimony.
Hi, I'm Lori Gordon again. He had just mentioned there might be maybe 100 extra kids. And I believe that if they build all these homes, it could possibly be 1,000 extra kids. Northeast, he said, holds 400, maybe 5. I'm still concerned. I don't know where these extra 1,000 kids are gonna go to school at. And also, are they gonna take responsibility of building the roads, the sidewalks? That could be a cost of maybe $5 million. Do we as taxpayers have to pay for the roads and the sidewalks that are getting back there? They're gonna triple our taxes to pay for this guy to make a profit. I'm very concerned. We can't afford our taxes to be raised for this, and especially when there's no concern of where the kids are gonna go to school at. There's a lot there. If they want to do it, and they want to pay for the roads, the piping, the sidewalks without affecting our tax dollars, and if they're going to provide schools for these kids, then we probably agree. I'd like to know too if I get a petition and have maybe 2,000 people sign it, will it help? For the November meeting, and there's a lot of people that is against this. The only one that is for it is the one that's going to make a profit. He's asking Greenwood to pay for it. And they're not concerned about the kids and where they're going to go. There's a lot here to be worried about. I just want to point my concern out. Can I do a petition? Will that help with the November meeting?
I think you're talking about petitioning the Board of Zoning Appeals. That's not us.
If I get signatures.
I think that would be something to address with the Board of Zoning Appeals, not with the planning
Where?
commission.
Where do I go talk to them at?
They were here at 6 o'clock tonight.
She told me to talk to you, but she did.
But
She
your
wasn't
petition,
concerned about
they're the
it.
ones who tabled it till November 13th, not us.
This will go to common council afterwards, after he gets a recommendation. The Board of Zoning Appeals public hearing is over, that's just for the variance request. The land use is for planning commission and common council. I would ask that when I'm talking to, we don't subtract this from their time. But we're not, for everyone that comes up here, this is not a question and answer time. We'll make our statements and then we'll sit down and we'll let the next people speak. Thank you.
Let him pay for the roads, sidewalks, what about? Taxpayers can't afford it, please.
My name's Dennis Kletzky. I live at 41 Park Drive with my wife Robin. We've, enjoyed the pleasure of having a farm in our backyard for quite some time, but we knew that inevitably that would go away at some point in time. But that peace and quiet we didn't expect to be replaced with a greater density population of homes than what we have in what is already an extremely dense area in Northern Park. The only justification that they've given for having the density of the homes is profit. They can't make money if they don't put the homes this close together. They can't make money if they don't put the homes in a straight line so that people can race up and down the streets. They can't make money if they don't have the houses so close together that they have to ask for variances for the lot sizes. So quite honestly, if they can't make money, they need to go somewhere else. We have enough builders in the area that can make money in this area. It's a prime real estate. It's close to the airport. It's close to the commercial. The airport wants to improve the quality of people that are living around it. They don't want apartment-like houses so close together that if one catches on fire, 3 burn down. You were talking earlier about in the comprehensive plan being concerned about fire equipment. Well, the fire equipment for this area comes from the south, and there is no entrance from the south to this whole addition without going through our past my house. So you can't get there with the fire equipment unless you come across the interstate. Now, heaven forbid you have to come across the interstate, across Emerson and County Line Road where nobody can get through, and then come to and then head south, on Airport Road. Or you've got to come through our neighborhood, which is already, we're already limited to parking on one side of the street, which isn't enforced, by the way. So we have to weave in and out around traffic, cars all the time anyway. So have very big concern about the choice of builder here. The choice of builder, they are internet famous for their quality, for the lack of, and not completing homes. I would prefer that we had somebody, that we didn't bring somebody in that was nationally new to a national builder that's new to our area. They've been in Indiana for less than a year. They've built some homes in Shelbyville that aren't selling so great. And their pricing of the homes in Shelbyville are much lower than what their quoting prices will be here. So I'm really concerned about the choice of builder. I'm really concerned about the choice of plan. I'm concerned about the fact that we already have a racetrack on Park Drive where people are flying up and down without stopping at the stop signs. It's not enforced by your police department. Now we're talking about a racetrack right across, east and west, right across the park. And it just doesn't make any sense that this plan can't be better. That's all I'm asking for. We know we can't stop you from building, and we can't stop building houses there. That's most likely going to happen. But we can put a better plan together with better quality homes. Thank you.
My name's Deanna Cathcart, and I live at 473 Park Drive. And actually, I've lived in this house from the time I was brought home as a baby from the hospital. So I know the area. My really concern is the flooding, the possibility of flooding, because I know it floods. When I was a little kid, Park Drive flooded so bad that it was up to our knees. Now that hasn't happened as bad, but if you put a lot of homes in there, that really concerns me. Also, because it floods, I've had water in my registers, my heating vents in the ground because we're on a cement slab. We've had water in our registers. And also at another meeting that you guys had, well, I don't know if any of you were on the meeting, but Farmer Lindsay talked about how they wanted to do something over by Northeast. And they presented this plan and said, oh, there's no problem with flooding, there's no this, there's no that. And he said, yes, there is. Since you did some work, my farm has been flooding. And so I know for a fact that that's a problem. And I don't trust that it'll be addressed. I know just like the Klutskys, you know, I've lived there forever. We knew that eventually it would be built on. It's just been a huge blessing that we get to see the sunrise in the morning across from the farm field, and we know that's gonna go away. But I really question too, the quality of building. I know that we live in what's called the other side of the railroad, and a lot of people think that we live in such, you know, not a good neighborhood, but you guys, these are our homes. And we care about what goes into this property. I don't know if any of you live around there, but it's gonna affect us, it affects the children. And I just want you guys to be really concerned and not just say, oh, we've got great houses going in, because that's not the case. So I really ask you, I implore you to really think about this, because we're citizens of Greenwood. We're just not here for, you know, we love our homes. They might not be as best as some of your homes and where you guys live, but we care. And I hope that you will care for us.
Hold my clause.
Hi, my name is Sarah Love. I live at 483 Park Drive, and I just have several questions. How far away from the easements behind our property will the proposed property lines come? Is it gonna be all the way back up to where we're at, or is there gonna be space in between? Are we gonna lose not some of our property lines, but you know, that distance, that barrier? Also, speaking of barriers, what visual barriers are gonna be set up between the proposed products and the adjacent areas? Am I gonna be staring into everybody's windows and their houses? Are they gonna be staring into mine? Is there gonna be fences? Is there gonna be shrubbery put up? And speaking of shrubbery, are they gonna be clearing all the pre-existing land features for this development? I mean, you can look across the field and you can see what's probably an 80-foot tree among 40-foot trees and a whole bunch of shrubbery. And if it is gonna be cleared, what about the local wildlife? I mean, what's gonna happen to all of that? Are you gonna plant new trees that it's gonna take 40 years to mature? I mean, we're talking about displacing owls, falcons. I've seen eagles laying back there. There's migration birds that come through. What are you gonna do for the local wildlife? Because coming from a bird nerd, I worked at a store for 8 years, and I've realized how important it is for our local wildlife. And what will you do in your planning to reduce the increase of nuisance wildlife? I saw in their concept plan that there's gonna be a whole bunch of new ponds. Well, like I said, being a local bird nerd, if you don't properly set up the area around the ponds, you're gonna be increasing geese in the area. Geese are notoriously lazy. They don't like to walk to get to the water. And usually what I see in the area is you have grass, a little bit of rock, and then the pond. I'm just saying, can we potentially propose to have taller grass that's not visually unappealing, so maybe a foot long? That way we're not having all these geese inundating our neighborhood, pooping on all the sidewalks that we're talking about building. Are we gonna reinforce having extra entrances, extra exits for the people to bring in EMT and fire trucks? And then I just wanna know if there's funds set aside in this project that's being proposed for the current homeowners that are gonna be inundated with mice. When you start tearing up this field, are you guys gonna pay for the current residents to have those pests eradicated from their homes? Because mice are already an issue now. You start plowing that up to build homes and streets, and you're just gonna drive them into the homes of the current people that are living there now, or the businesses that are there now. Thank you.
Hello, I am Ben Gilliam. I live at 602 Gooseberry Lane. And it's very easy for the builder to say that there will be no negative impacts. I can stand up here and tell you that there will be no negative impacts. Where are the studies? If you look at the maps, the houses are going to be very close together. They've asked for variances to make those very close together. The pictures they show don't depict what setbacks that they're actually talking about. Stormwater, I think, will be an issue. Spoke to it a minute ago on Gooseberry Lane. We've had stormwater coming out of the field. If you make that all concrete back there without enough permeable ground, we're going to have stormwater issues. And alleys for loading homes. An alley does not conducively help people move into their homes. They're going to be fighting to get in and out of your driveway, out of your home. That doesn't seem like a good use. Connectivity for emergency response. County line road's already full. It's very full, 5 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoons. The other two exits that affect me are Gooseberry and Marcy. And those are exits that don't go anywhere. They don't go to a major thoroughfare. They're already packed with traffic from the skate park and other areas. They're already down to one lane. Those aren't viable exits. Maybe the exit to the south by the Oak Barrel, possibly, but I don't see that in the plan.
248.
Mike DeLego, 135 Marcy Lane. Everyone has already mentioned some really good stuff, so I won't go over that again. But my big question is resources and infrastructure. Someone mentioned schools that that Northeast could absorb some of these students, but what about the rest of the schools? And it's not just this neighborhood. So this is just one of many that keep going up and up and up. Just recently, we had an apartment complex get expanded down in Madison. Have we taken into account that in conjunction with what this might happen? And why are we so driven to reduce all the spaces for everyone's housing to allow more housing in an area that seems to have a lot of challenges variance-wise? As it's been mentioned, but I'll go into just a touch more detail. I live on a corner, and I can count 8 out of 10 cars don't slow down or stop for the stop sign. Doesn't seem like a big deal until you see that the kids on bicycles don't stop for the stop sign. There's people that walk their dogs. There's not enough police presence to deter the traffic issues that we're going to have now, let alone adding 400 or 500 more cars into our neighborhood. And again, like the gentleman just mentioned, there's no way out. And the way this looks, being so compact, I mentioned in the last meeting, we have several cars. You park 2 cars in your driveway, you're overstuffed. You have, God forbid, 3 cars or a visitor, no one can park anywhere. All you have now are houses on streets lined with cars, and it's very unsightly. It's incredibly difficult to be neighborly with everyone these days, and it makes for some serious challenges. So I asked the planning commission, what steps are you taking? What information do we have that you guys are looking at school density? How many people are coming in? How many more people do you expect to have come in? Like, what's going to happen? At some point, we're going to have to build more schools. Who pays for that? When is that happen? Where do they get built? We're already running out of land as it is. Yes, Greenwood's desirable, but only because it's not Indianapolis. It's not a million strong, but we're getting there fast. what reassurances that we have that there's a master plan that says this is not just gonna be a community full of housing. We've got $500,000 housing, by where the old, school was, by the field house. They seem to be empty. And now we wanna put $375,000 houses in a overstuffed area where people probably will buy them as well. There's a lot of concern with the need for such a housing development. So again, I asked the planning commission, what steps are we taking to minimize this impact or to improve the infrastructure that we seem to be lacking now, let alone with all these influx of people? I've been here 5.5 years. I've probably seen a dozen communities come up. That's fast growth. Is there any foresight to say, well, we need to slow this down, we can only go this far, at some point we're going to stop? What's gonna happen with the airport? If we're increasing our community, then we're gonna obviously wanna increase the resource of the airport. But if we take out the land away from it, how can we grow the airport? I've actually seen this in another town. It's kind of like shooting yourself in the foot. So I guess as residents, where do we get this information that you guys are looking at these things in a comprehensive way that benefit us, not just look at a paper?
Thank you. We'll go back to the petitioner for rebuttal. For 5 minutes.
Thank you. I think Dr. Terhun's email is probably sufficient on the school issue, but I will add that everyone should keep in mind that this proposed subdivision will not appear overnight like this. Right? This is a 4 to 5 to maybe 7-year build out period. So any students coming into the area will be a roll in, and they will also be of different ages. So you'll have some grade school age, some high school age, some middle school age. And the townhomes likely will not have very many children. Likewise, the Edge series, the rear load single family homes in that yellow area are more targeted to empty nesters or new home buyers. So again, probably won't put that many kids into the school system, but just wanted to add that. The concerns about taxes. If this project is approved, it actually adds to the assessed value of the city, which overall impacts the tax rate. Part of the reason Greenwood has had such low taxes over the last 10 years or 15 years is because of the growth. And it has allowed taxes to stay level. So this, again, will add to that assessed value. The developer, to answer that question, will be responsible for putting in the roads and sidewalks in the subdivision that will not use a single dime of Greenwood tax dollars. We will also be putting in bridges where those are necessary. We'll also be adding a trail along Pleasant Creek that will connect to the existing trail system in the city. And we will also be putting in, subject to further discussion with the Parks Board, adding to that park, rather than building little pocket parks within the subdivision. We'll actually put our money toward the city park and add additional amenities there. It seems like, I know it comes up every meeting that somehow profit is a bad word, right? I mean, these developers aren't in the business to just break even or lose money, obviously. But I do want to add that Taylor Morrison is a national builder, but their local presence is Pyatt builders who are local and have been here for many years. And Taylor Morrison bought Pyatt, but the whole local control is all with Pyatt still. Todd Pyatt is here in the crowd with us this evening. And they are building neighborhoods in Plainfield, Fishers, Noblesville, Indianapolis, Danville, Pittsburgh, Cumberland, not just Shelbyville. So they're busy putting up homes. The drainage issue, as this board knows, we will be required to take the current drainage counts and keep in mind for the neighbors, you're currently getting sheeted drainage from the farm field. So that once the subdivision is built, it will have detention and retention areas as depicted on this map that will actually convert a lot of that offsite drainage to stay on site in a more and released in a more effective manner than it is now, just sheeting off the farm fields. And a lot of those retention areas, because we are near the airport, somebody mentioned ease, will be dry detention areas. So they'll fill up when the water merits it, when there's a big storm, that they will stay dry most of the time so that they won't attract that issue. And And I think that's it. The traffic flow, it's hard to tell from this because you really don't get into that until we get to the primary plat stage. But there will be connectivity with the existing substreets. There will be connectivity to Airport Parkway and out to the north. And eventually, it's anticipated that the Lindsay family will sell the remainder of their farm, and there will be a connection down on the south end of Airport Parkway to come up by Open Barrel. So this will eventually all open up better, but even now, this will get things moving and probably allow the folks in that western neighborhood to go east more quickly if they wish to, east and north. And that's all I have for you.
Thank you. I'll move to closing remarks by the remonstrators for 5 minutes. Please be aware of other people that may want to speak.
Thank you. So, the agreement has a history with drainage concerns. I mean, you just bought and destroyed houses right at Broadway and Water Street, right down the street from us where we live. I don't think we can take a risk at allowing, we really need to understand what's really happening there. That whole flood zone area that we've lived in, our neighbor in our house. I've lived there for 35 years. She's lived there all her life. And there isn't a home in the neighborhood that hasn't had water back up into the register. So it's a serious issue. I don't think that they understand or plan for the seriousness of it. The sheeting issue, the county just voted, I believe, recently to start charging us for the farm drainage going into there, into the creek already. So I hope that takes that away. We don't have to pay that fee anymore. It's kind of ridiculous how many fees we have to end up paying for water drainage issues that keep being caused by builders like this who don't really know what they're doing. They just keep, they bring up engineering plans. And God forbid they back it up to the point where everything, if this backs up, it goes into Northeast, guys. It goes right into your school. So, that's all our tax money going to fix the school because because of the water drainage issues. And the last part is, like I said before, I don't think we can stop the building of the houses, but it's really a shame. We pushed our city pool all the way to Bargersville. We pushed our city baseball fields all the way to New Whitewood. I mean, what are all the people going to be doing? We don't have a park in the city anymore that's hardly, we built a nice park, we put some more infrastructure in there. We took half of Great Park away for infrastructure for the city. And now we're taking the rest of it away for baseball diamonds. So when is enough enough? I mean, you keep bringing more people in the city, you keep bringing more houses into the city, and you keep pushing all the amenities out. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Bill Bengali again. He noted that there will be construction activity for 5 to 7 years. That'll be noise, that'll be dust, that'll be construction vehicles. Once again, connectivity. How are you going to get all that in? How are you going to get all that out? 5 to 7 years is a long time for people who are living there now. The park, I was wondering if the park were going to be addressed that they're going to propose to give some money to the city for the park that's currently there. That's going to move all the activity from the far side of 180 acres over to the existing side where park is, that skate park is now. That will definitely impact the people who currently live there. Put some more strain on what is currently there.
I need you all to think of one thing. Yes, we are homeowners. This is our home, and you feel like we're just attacking this developer. I am all for growth. I want to see it done the correct way. I want to see the infrastructure put in place. I want to see us have the police department, the fire department. He brings up the school that the superintendent says there's 400 kids there, they can take 5. You just put a massive apartment complex of sandstones, that's going to be more than 100 children with all those apartments in there. And they're transitory, so it never goes away. The kids don't grow up and move out. They keep switching. So we have to look at this. If we're going to build, let's build smart. Let's be the best town and not just think about the money. Because when we think about the money, when we put the cart before the horse, all we're doing is screwing ourselves. So let's do it the right way. Let's be smart and let's be the best town. I'm so sick and tired of hearing people saying, oh, you just want to be like Carmel. No, I don't want to be like Carmel. I want to be better. I want us to be better. And we need you guys to help us be better.
Okay, that is the end of our 5-minute period for closing remarks. With that, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, comments?
Yeah, I've got some. I've been involved in real estate development for about 25 years. 3 states, 10 cities, worked a lot of big projects, golf course communities, and so on and so forth. And this is a big deal project for Greenwood. This is in a focused area, and it's supposed to be state-of-the-art, high quality, and I don't really see that happening. Plus, I didn't get any information about this project in my packet, didn't get to see the plan at all. So I went to the project site, I had no doubt what I was looking for. Corn growing, that's about it. So I felt like this petition is totally inadequate. It's not complete in any way. We have a series of neighborhoods. We kind of like to see how they look enlarged, where the green space is going to be, how the creek's going to be handled, how you're going to have that turn that into a linear park that goes up to the park on the northeast park. I'm not happy with this petition because it's not even closely done well enough. And I don't think the petitioner can expect this large project that's in the master plan and has an idea of what's supposed to happen here, not just to go run off and do whatever you want. And also you need to convince us that it's worth it. And I don't like all the detention up along the creek. I'm not happy with this at all. Plus, I looked at the Leatherwood Trails, petition 2024-059. That was a lot more detailed information for just a single family subdivision. This project needs to be thought out, worked out, and presented properly to the community before we decide to approve it. And it's very dense, and it's leading the way for more development in the same area. So I think we need to say, hold it, let's get a look at this in detail and make sure that roads work, sewers work, water lines work, this project can work. It's not just a quick sketch, how many units can we get? It's a planned community that will look good, be good, and improve the quality of life in Greenwood. That's all I've got to say.
Mr. Nelson, when would some of those details be due to come forward from the developer?
So when we look at sanitation, stormwater, even being down to road network details, that gets analyzed during the primary plat, which would come back here. I will say, just as far as the petition that is in the staff report, that was prepared by staff. They did have the visual of their concept layout, and then they did have handouts that they did hand out. We'll try to do better with the information shown in the staff report. But a lot of this is they're looking for the underlying land use zone of RA. Currently, this is split zoning, RM and agriculture. The ponds and such, the detention areas, that would all be a part of the residential site plan review.
I mean, I know we're not at the point for traffic studies, but it's obviously gonna add traffic. The main corridor being envisioned is Airport Parkway, which empties onto a road we have no jurisdiction over. I'm sure Indianapolis would probably stick a stoplight on it. But I do have concerns with an emergency response back in there. It's gonna take 94 and 91 a lot of time to wander their way back in there. Time that they don't really have, so this level of density in this area, I have real problems with. I think it needs to be residential, I think it will be residential. Is it this dense is where I think I'm most concerned. And with that, God forbid something would happen at the airport. Puts it, and if we approve this as is, we put it into a very densely populated area.
So I know we're just now at the point where we're talking about basically the zoning change, right? So from RM and AC to RA, right? And then next step will go in the primary planning. I'm kind of looking at you, Gabe, because we can't, they say set 415 units, right? When we add up all the units. But we know with these next few meetings, we can be like, nope, nope, yes, no, we need this, we need that, we need this study, we need Terhune, we need, all these people to come in and let us know. But when I looked at, I did kind of a pros and cons sheet. More housing, we know we need it. Remember when they came in April, we looked at the fact that we are limited in housing. 1 in 9 houses are being utilized as rentals here in Greenwood and in Johnson County. We need more housing here. Okay, but we don't want all the apartments. This is one way to get around it. Traffic and roadways will be assessed during the primary planning phase. Greenwood schools, the number one, I just want to talk to my fellow commissioners here. The primary method that we use to generate money in our city is through building and maintaining, like for building and maintaining roads and schools, it's tax-based, based on property tax dollars. We need the chicken for the egg. We need those property values in order to have more money to build the new schools, to build better roads. It is very chicken and egg here. We're not, I hear it all the time, we're not taking money out of our existing general operating fund for the city of Greenwood in order to build these things. It's not gonna happen overnight. It'll be a projection that happens over time. I'm not a fan of taking our beautiful Old Town Greenwood area, I mean, I know it's over to the side, and turning it into a subdivision all of a sudden. But as long as we change, if we change the zoning, we put in the restrictions that say the drainage has to be sufficient, the traffic has to be sufficient, the public safety options and opportunities in those areas have to be sufficient. We have some conditions listed in there, but nothing really related to public health, public safety, things related to the kids in schools. Is this the right time to put in additional conditions, or is it the primary planning part?
I had a quick question. I think it would be for Mr. Prime. I keep hearing people talk about apartments, and I didn't hear you use the term. Are we talking two different things, or did you have a different name for what people are calling apartments?
Yeah, there are no apartments proposed in here, and the RA zoning doesn't allow multifamily complexes. That's your RAC and your RM2.
These are all single family developments.
These are all
Some are connected as townhomes,
except
but
for
all,
townhomes.
but all the rest are single family.
Townhomes would be in a
In that one block.
unit, yeah. Everything else would be single family attached.
I thought that's what I understood. I just wanted to clarify it since I've heard apartments 2 or 3 times.
Right. No problems.
Thank you. Mr. Nelson, you had something?
Well, I was gonna just answer a couple of questions or respond to a couple of things that I heard just from the planning background, and then also had or to go over just staff's recommendation. The big topic tonight has been density. And I think that a lot of people see that word and are very afraid of it. They think of something like large housing project that has failed and is overcrowded and doesn't have the adequate services or money to support it, and ends up being not a great, necessarily it can be maybe a rougher area. But I think there are also other ways that there can be density. There can be subtle density where you're adding a townhome, or as they mentioned, having some garages forward and some garages back. It gives the appearance that you're breaking up the frontage. I'll say that the neighborhoods that this is abutting are currently denser neighborhoods. They're in our old town, or kind of the downtown area of Greenwood. Density creates walkable environments. It creates environments that are less dependent on automobiles for making trips to run errands. This proposal does have a bike plan that goes down towards Main Street, and it all falls within 1.5 miles of our intersection right outside of this building. That's going to provide opportunities for Main Street to flourish, for vacant buildings to be filled, for customers to serve our commercial businesses. It's going to provide new type of housing that we don't necessarily build in Greenwood for people who want to live downtown, who want to be able to walk to things or bike to things that like that environment. We have plenty of subdivisions that are developing large lot, single family homes that other people can move to if they desire. This is transitioning similarly to the homes that it's next to, over to the townhomes. The roads are continuing the existing network and the graphic that you showed, and it's including trails. Density, when you build densely, it cuts infrastructure costs. It's very expensive to build neighborhoods that are sprawling out. Typically, you want to build more densely, and you want to do infill projects. Those are going to complete your street networks, and they're going to be less expensive for the city to maintain. The further out, the more cul-de-sacs, the more pavement you have, that's what's really going to put more of a stress on our city services. Building densely in an area that's already surrounded by and served by the existing city, that is what we refer to as a smart way to develop our smart growth. I'm going to let maybe Mark and John talk a little bit about the drainage concerns and the flooding concerns, and then I'm going to let Kevin speak as well if he had anything to add about taxes or density or the development. Nope. We're good. Mark and I can take this too, but do you mind talking a little bit about the questions we had about drainage concerns?
Sure. I think we've been over this as the commission before, what our drainage standards are. New development is required to detain all the storm water on site, so all the runoff all the rain that hits the site and then runs off has to be detained on site through a detention system. It's then released at a lesser rate than it is currently released at today. In fact, Fellow Crop has a very high runoff number compared to property developed subdivision, which has a detention in place. Some of the issues in Northern Park, I'm not up to speed on all the individual issues that individual homeowners may face. I would say that Northern Park does not have any detention in place, so there is no detention in place currently, which could lead to some of the flooding issues in that neighborhood. There was some discussion about flood zones, the legal drain. There is a flood area in the legal drain. This development or any development would not be allowed to build in the flood area, that flood zone. The legal drain issue that came up with the county surveyor, Johnson County is increasing fees on legal drains. They're watershed-based billing, so they're looking at the needs in each watershed and increasing fees according to that. I don't believe this development would change that at all. I think they would continue to assess the same fees based on that. That's something outside of the control of the city of Greenwood. I think that probably answered most of the drainage issues. As far as traffic goes, I would point out that RA zoning residential, like, what's they stand for, attached, is likely a less intensive use than airport commercial or residential. Some of the uses allowed in residential maybe as far as traffic goes. You can get full-size warehouses in airport commercial.
Am I correct in saying that all of the legal drains in the county, whether within the city or not, are under purview of
Yes, it's a
Johnson
legal
County?
drain would fall under the review of the Johnson County Survey.
Thank you.
One last thing I'll mention, staff, we did recommend, conditions with this. If it pleases you, we would, kind of upgrade that to commitments. And we would add a 6th commitment that we're recommending for a traffic study.
I would ask the developer, would you have any issue with that becoming commitments and adding traffic study?
We do not, in fact, we've already ordered a traffic study.
As far as the questions that one of the remonstrators had about easements and site view and pest, well, I don't know about pest specifically, but like a lot of that's already addressed in our UDO whenever we get to the planning piece again, right?
Correct, so, they would likely have easements as well that would probably abut their property. Can't be for sure since we've seen, no engineered plans at this time. They would not be able to encroach on their property. It would be the end of their property line, just like their neighbors are now. Your property ends, your neighbors begins. That is how it would be developed. It would have to go through platting, so we'd establish the lots with the primary plat, and then they would get recorded with the secondary plat. Those lots would include easements, different infrastructure improvements, as well as the homes that they would be building. I will say she talked a little bit about buffering or visual barriers. Typically, I don't know of any jurisdiction that buffers residential houses from residential houses. It's extending the street network and the homes with a like use. Typically, we don't have a buffer yard requirement between residential homes and residential homes.
Regarding the easements too, if there's any existing easements on the Lindsay farm, those easements cannot just be vacated without whoever holds that easement allowing it.
So also with the continuity of likeness, like I see all these really pretty renderings by Mr. Prime, which look a lot like subdivisions like Homecoming in South Lake and other areas like Lennar or Ryan Homes back in the day, right? Is there, okay, so I guess you can't control the likeness outside of the UDO, right? They have to follow guidelines that we have there. But what about plot sizing? Is it gonna be more dense or less dense, or are we even at that phase? Like I see that the roads are really, really tight anyways. They're highly dense off of basically like Gooseberry. They're smaller plots. Are these new areas, you can't really tell from your renderings if they're gonna be 2 times the size, half that size of a typical plot in the existing areas that are adjacent to the RAs that you're requesting to change.
So, RA allows for lot sizes of 5,400 square feet. They did have a proposed variance request that will be going on next BZA for the development to reduce it to 4,200 square feet for the Cornerstone and Edge series. There are many different zones in Greenwood. They have different lot sizes allowed in each zone. This was the lot size that they are requesting. The variance process would go through our Board of Zoning Appeals, which is judicial. Words are difficult, but they are proposing a lot size that is pretty similar to the surrounding Northern Park lot size. It does appear that some of the homes are larger than the homes that are there, so they might take up more of the lot.
I just didn't want it to look like you were in all of a sudden La La Land, like you go from Gooseberry and Northgate to houses that look totally different. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know we're not at that phase yet, but that would be a concern of mine.
Well, and one other thing is our Old Town residential, we actually allow lot sizes down to 2,000 square feet. So it would still be larger than that. So it's not completely out of character with what you see.
Again, this is the underlying land use. So this project by Taylor Morrison Homes would go away tomorrow. If we approve the land use change, the land use would still remain.
I think that's some of the, sometimes the dangers of showing a detailed concept plan, is people get very locked into that being what is going to be built. However, those are conceptual plans at the rezoning phase. What we're really looking at is the land use.
Thank you. Any other questions by the planning commission? Mr. Walker?
Sorry, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Anybody else? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move the petition for a zoning map change to rezone approximately 108.7 acres of land located south of County Line Road and west of Emerson Avenue in the Indy South Greenwood Airport within the city of Greenwood, Johnson County, Indiana, from RN residential medium lot zone and AC Airport Commerce District to RA residential attached single family zone as set forth therein, receive a favorable recommendation from this commission to the Greenwood Common Council, and that the same be certified to the Greenwood Common Council in the form presented with the following commitments, those commitments being the 5 set forth in the plan report, plus the 6th being the traffic study.
We have a favorable recommendation as a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Lexi, second by Ms. Stambaugh. Again, this vote will be by roll call. Before we do the roll call, are there any last questions or comments? Seeing none. Mr. Lexi.
Aye.
Mr. Walker.
Aye.
Mr. Price.
Aye.
Mr. Milborn.
Aye.
Mr. Probst.
Nay.
Mr. King.
Nay.
Ms. Stambaugh.
Aye.
Mr. St. John.
Aye.
I too say aye. Motion carries by a vote of 7-2. Next item on the agenda is PC 2024-059 Leatherwood Trails Annexation Zone Map Change. Yes, again, this is a public hearing.
Yeah, IT should have PowerPoint uploaded. If not, I can a flash drive with it. Grab it upstairs.
You need to touch something.
I sent it a couple of days, last week. Yeah, I sent it with the ordinance number correctly. No, it's last was that second.
Mr. Nelson, you need to go get it.
I do.
Okay. We will take about a 3 or 4 minute recess while we gather some data for the next.
Then again, I next week season starts, so we got a bit of down sport. I hope the knees hold out. Oh, yeah. Fast. I don't like her. I have a
where do you live?
Favorite
It comes down through the middle of the city, goes,
Yeah, I saw that on that.
It was so fast. I was like,
I got a lot of it west of it.
this was either right. It was like, it was by accident. I was like, it's up by hospital, and I didn't know better hospital.
You must barely be outside line. Yeah. You ever go to that park? Freedom Park?
I go there a lot. I go there a lot, and it would be nice to have another entrance. I take my kids all.
I think they definitely need to do something to access the lake and the dog park.
I think everyone should have a helicopter.
medium there.
And get people off of parking in the grass off of it.
Right now, you know, they're working on Cutthroat Road.
Yeah.
I live just north of there, so
Yeah.
I'm going through April too.
Yeah.
They're trying to drive slowly.
The fire department's been coming through there. I live right there, at, you know where Worsville and Everett is?
Yeah.
Midnight every night. They come, we've got like, I'm in the village for the Pines Agreement. Then there's village pines, then there's a southern pines, and then there's a timber pine. Somebody's having a heart attack down that way.
You hear them there at the roundabout every day.
Yeah, oh. You have to have police come out there. Last Friday, Saturday. Some of them kids comes around there, I bet he was going 50, 60 miles. I'm just serious. Oh,
Doing donuts around the roundabout.
I'm gonna see if they can put some of those bumpers, you know what I'm talking about?
It's divided by.
Speed bumps?
Well,
Your deputy mayor will be opposed to that. Yeah, it
Oh,
tears up
yeah,
plows.
he's a friend of mine.
It tears up plows.
Well, I think there's a level with creeks.
Oh, that.
You ready?
Ready to roll.
Okay, we will resume the meeting and then ending the recess. This is a public hearing. All those that expect to speak, please stand and be sworn in.
You swear on oath of perjury that the testimony is true to the best of your knowledge.
Thank you. Please give us your name and address and proceed.
Thank you, President Shell and members of the commission. I'm Andy Baroker, attorney with Bakery Drinker, representing petitioner tonight, NBR, doing business with Ryan Homes in Indiana. With me is Mark Leach, our land planner, Kevin Sumner, our engineer with Y Engineering, and our client, Matt Roush, who's the head of land development for Ryan Homes. This is docket number PC 2024-059. We are proposing to acquire the 80.9 acres. Here's our index of things we'll go through. So we've requested to annex this 80.9 acres at the southwest corner of County Line Road and 5 Points Road. We introduced this at the Common Council meeting last week. We have a public hearing on the annexation with the Greenwood Common Council on November 6th to request the annexation of this. And so done a fair amount of work with staff and with the city with respect to finances, kind of what was talked about in the prior petition, as those are important, and we'll get through those. The zone map change that we're requesting, Johnson County just updated or changed their comprehensive plan. So this property now is agricultural residential district AR in Johnson County. We're proposing to request rezoning for the southern 2/3 of the property to residential, medium residential, and the northern 15 acres to commercial medium format for commercial along County Line Road. And we'll look at that site plan here in a second. I wanted to give Matt Roush with NBR Ryan Homes just an opportunity to say something about Ryan Homes in Indiana and their presence here. Matt?
Sure. Thanks, Andy. Matt Roush with Ryan Homes, 8425 Woodfield Crossing Boulevard in Indianapolis. Ryan Homes has been in business since 1948. We've built over 500,000 homes in greater Indianapolis. Since 2009, we're approaching 4,000 new homes. We currently have 15 communities throughout greater Indianapolis. We offer a range of products. We have townhome communities. We have age-targeted communities. We have first-time buyer communities, and we have a traditional poor, what we call a move-up community that most closely relates to this project that we're presenting today. So appreciate your consideration. I'll be available for any questions at the appropriate time.
Thanks, Matt. This is the aerial location map, 80.9 acres. Again, you see Grubbs Ditch transversing east to west in a southerly direction at the top. That really breaks apart the property from commercial use to the north, right along County Road, to the residential uses south of that to the property line. It is on the 5 Points Road is on the east part of this parcel. There has been and continues to be development west of this property where there are apartments being built. Southeast of this, on the other side of Five Points Road, there's a fair amount of development going on. So most everything else around this has been annexed into the city of Greenwood, and so it makes sense to fill in this portion of the city's boundaries by annexing this land. And it would be a benefit to do that, but we're here to talk about the rezoning this evening. So the concept plan is attached, again, neighborhood commercial, so 15.25 acres north of Grubbs Ditch that we're requesting to be zoned commercial medium. 20,000 to 100,000 square foot sites of possible in that area. We would have restricted uses, and that will show you the commitments that we've made with respect to what uses we would agree to prohibit or not allow in there. The city has in its comprehensive plan, and staff has echoed a number of times, neighborhood commercial type of uses along County Line Road. It's hard, there's a fairly large boundary or buffer between the western part of the city on County Line Road. It's called I-65, and so having more of that type of retail on the east side of the interstate is really something that the city has put in their comprehensive plan and shared with us. The residential would be the remainder of the balance of the property, 65.65 acres south of Grubbs Ditch, which would be residential medium. So that's proposed 135 single detached homes. Those would be fee simple for sale homes. Lots would conform to the residential medium standards, no variances requested or needed. The home plans would conform to the city's building design standards. Our density for 80.9 acres with 135 homes would be 2.1 lots per acre, and 25% of that overall lot would be common space. The number of design features are incorporated throughout from talking with staff and having input from them, a mix of commercial to the north, residential to the south, an east-west road to provide future connectivity to 5 Points Road from the whatever will be developed to the west of our site. Significant trails as an amenity, a lineal common space along Grubbs Ditch, really making that an amenity. South common areas with space for a playground for the residential area. These are images, elevations of the proposed homes that Ryan Homes would build here. Sales prices in the mid 400,000s, size ranges 2,000 to 3,000 square feet on lot sizes permitted in residential medium throughout. So same kind of product type throughout the entire development. So the comprehensive plan map, we talked a little bit about it. So the first criteria we are responsible to comply with is the recently adopted comprehensive plan by the city to make sure we meet that, and we believe we are. Right, the future land use map recommends neighborhood commercial along County Line Road. We're doing that. We're requesting commercial medium format with restrictions, and you have those in front of you, and we'll talk about. The mixed density residential to the south is what's called for in the comprehensive plan, and we're requesting residential medium lot or RM to conform to that residential use south of Grubbs Ditch. So that's the first criteria of the 5. We've put that in our petition. Staff has given that to you in our staff report. The other criteria, number 2, it is compliant with the current conditions and character of the neighborhood. Right, it's agricultural now, building to the east, building to the south, building to the west. A lot of residential construction going on there, so we think we're right in line with the character that's existing. We think it's the most desirable use. The city's comprehensive plan asked for this use. They like commercial, small neighborhood commercial along County Line Road as opposed to other uses. This seems to make the most sense, and the city has echoed that in their comprehensive plan. The 4th is we would not negatively affect property values through Greenwood. We don't think we would. In fact, this would enhance the city by coming in an annexation and having it be taxed at a much higher level. And we think it's responsible growth and development to have this infill site really along County Line and 5 Points Road start to fill in with residential to fill out that eastern border of the city. So I would request that you acknowledge we meet the 5 conditions for approval of this rezoning for those reasons. The rezoning commitments are before you, and I handed that out before I started speaking. So staff has recommended commitments for both portions, those two at the top, both the residential and the commercial trails will be developed in connection with the city's trail map. And we would build 2 pedestrian crossings over Grub Ditch. Just the commercial portion, there are 8 commitments there. Operating hours to avoid reduced noise and light. Primary vehicular access will be from 5 Points or County Line Road. A shared parking agreement between commercial tenants to limit the amount of overall parking spaces that are required. No electric variable message signs. Rear facades for those commercial areas really close to Grubbs Ditch. Further south on the commercial area would have facades that would be front facades. A pedestrian walkway on the south end of the buildings, pedestrian pathways along Grubbs Ditch would be lit, have pedestrian lighting and trails, and at least one outdoor gathering area in the commercial area for recreational outdoor uses. Whether that's a gazebo or a child playground or a restaurant outdoor seating area, there'll be some public common space in that commercial area. Then if you turn over to the next page, these are petitioners' proposed commitments that we would voluntarily also have as part of the rezoning. No vinyl siding, we meet the UDO requirements as amended to landscaping, pedestrian facilities, right-of-way dedication, etc. All the single-family structures would meet the city's building design standards. A trail should be developed along Grubbs Ditch, as we said. Traffic study will be completed. We'll have an east-west road. Will be a public right-of-way to connect both 5 Points and Stub on the west end for that parcel's future development. Road improvements will be completed in coordination with the city's engineer. And then the last item, we talked a little bit, the following uses will be prohibited in the commercial area. Automotive retail, automotive services, crematorium, motel, extended stay and regular hotel, shooting range, any multifamily, and then tattoo services. So those are the things that are allowed in commercial medium that we would think would go in there. Again, calling it neighborhood commercial are the kinds of things that we are looking for. So I think we've met the criteria. Just to give you economic impact, right? Current gross assessed value of the property is just under $200,000. Fully built out with 135. Just the residential part, it could be north of 60 million as far as assessed value. So the tax revenues goes from $4,000 to $623,000 annually. Clearly a benefit to the city. Last, I'll talk about schools. Tim Edsel, we have a letter from the superintendent of Clark Pleasant Community Schools, who has indicated to us, to our client, that he is able to serve any children in this neighborhood. Again, with only 135 units, it won't be a gargantuan number, but we've had discussions with him as we have with city staff and have that letter in the file and provided that to your team. With that, I appreciate your time and attention tonight. We're here and available for questions and look forward to your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any remonstrators who wish to speak? You please state your name and address.
Name is John Hakes. I'm here representing Hakes Family Farm LLC, 802 North Matthews Road. We, my 2 sisters, my older brother and I have the family farms, which are just east of 5 Points Road. What separates us from 5 Points Road is Sagebriar. And we live in the Grubbs watershed. We're right in the middle of it. And we're having massive problems right now. The county has not cleaned out these ditches for years. Still in the talking stage. We are going to be paying some more extra taxes on that. And the bottom line here is that we keep seeing these projects, McFarland Farms, Arlington Farms, Sagebriar, we keep seeing these projects approved, and it just drastically changed the watershed. Not against progress, not against housing. Greenwood has a shortage of housing. I think you're all very much aware of that, especially shortage of affordable housing. might take a look what the median income of Greenwood residents are. But that's up to you and the contractors here, if people want to build this. But this proposed plan, this land, I'm very familiar with that land because I used to farm it when I was a teenager. And it sheds water like water off the back of a duck. It's gonna go right to Red Grubb's ditch. I assume that these ponds would be detention ponds, because if they're retention ponds, they'll fill up and they'll just the water will hit the Grubb's ditch. And that thing backs up real quick, even in normal rain nowadays. I just want to point out that this problem of the flooding and the crop damage, we had crop damage this year because of Grubb's ditch being unable to handle the water that's coming through there. And it's getting more silted up the further east it goes. So just a normal rain, it backs up real quick, then we get flooding on the roads out there on Matthews Road. And we get crop damage, and when it gets up to the level of our field tiles, which we have to maintain, it causes blowouts. That water's gotta go somewhere, and it's just like a reverse osmosis process. When that water gets that high in that ditch, and it does frequently nowadays, it's expensive to have those drains repaired. The county's not gonna help us. The government's not gonna help us. Nobody's gonna help us pay for repairing these ditches that comes out of our pocket. That's the same with all the other people that own property and land along Grubb's ditch. What I'm trying to make here is I think that somewhere along the line here, we've got to figure out a way to deal with this ditch and this drainage, this Grubb's watershed. Realize the city of Greenwood is going to say, well, that's the county problem. The county's going to say, yeah, well, we got a plan. And yeah, there's going to be more money collected for the drainage tax. That's down the road. Right now, we need to get to work on this problem. I don't know what the total answer is, but I'm asking you to consider some ideas. I already know what can't be done. I already know whose responsibility is this, whose responsibility is that. I already know all that. But I would ask you to I don't know if that was planning commission's realm or whose realm it would be in. But seems to me it's time to kind of do some rethinking here on how to approach this problem. Because the way it's going now, no one can tell me how long it's going to be until Grubb's ditch is started, let alone when it's going to be finished. In the meantime, we have problems. All the people along this ditch, and as far as Leatherwood, 5 miles east of Greenwood, up towards Rock Lane. So perhaps some ideas, maybe the city, or maybe the people that are building this can step up and say, well, we want to get involved with getting these ditches cleaned out because we're shedding water, we're putting water into it. Perhaps a tax break for the city later on down the road. Somewhere we've got to get the financing together to get this stuff started now, instead of just waiting for the taxes to be collected, waiting for the county to figure out which ditch is going to get what. And there's never going to be enough money. I guarantee you that. I'm asking for a rethinking on this problem. I think it can be done. I think lady made reference earlier to, we don't want to be just a city. We want to be a good city that looks to the future and looks out for the residents of the city. We're going to be residents of Greenwood very shortly. Greenwood is expanding at that rate. I have no doubt that we will be residents of the city of Greenwood. We will be within the city limits. Let's make it right. And, I think it can be done if if the people involved with this get together, it might take the county commissioners, might take, definitely the county surveyor, this, the city council. And other people get together and figure out some sort of plan where we get this thing started now and alleviate this problem, because it's only gonna get worse. And then once it's inside city limits, then there's another problem. Just respectfully ask you to consider what I have to say. See if we can come up with something that will start getting this problem taken care of now rather than later. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate it.
My name's Sam Hartley. I'm at 6992 East County Line Road, Indianapolis, Indiana. So the east side keeps getting more and more development pushed towards it. With the new apartments and then now this. But the commercial development along County Line Road is gonna be directly in front of 6 houses. But it's 2 miles to drive to the nearest, to everything you need. Once you cross 65, you can get everything you need. There's coffee shops, haircut places, restaurants, grocery stores, everything you need. It's 2 miles down the road. You're gonna put businesses directly in front of houses for a 2 mile travel distance. But we're already heavy car traffic in the area and not gonna change. If we wanted to not drive cars, we would move to downtown Indianapolis, downtown Greenwood. We moved to the outer east side because we don't want that. The new development has a mixture of different housing plot sizes. I don't know what the smallest is, but at mid 400,000, there's houses that aren't selling for 350, that are 3,000 square foot houses right now, because people can't afford it. So if you want to leave, if you want to change the size, you're not helping the housing price. I wouldn't change it from rural residential. I would try to wait for a good builder. It's a good lot. You can have nice houses developed. My aunt, she lives in Brownsburg. They built $800,000, $900,000 houses with 2 acre lots, and it's full. And they sell quickly when they go back on the market, because there's nothing like that out there. I think that if you keep pounding the east side, we're gonna have some overdevelopment happen, and the area's gonna get rougher. It's already leaning towards that way, but that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? We'll move on to the rebuttal by the petitioner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I asked Kevin Sumner with why our engineer, again, this is not a city of Greenwood problem, right? It's a grub ditch isn't just a ditch, it's a legal drain, right? So county surveyor, Johnson County has something to say about it. The city has something to say about how we treat it, put trails next to it and stuff, but clearly it's something that we will and have to, and Kevin has already been paying attention to for purposes of development, because we obviously don't want to put 135 homes there and not pay attention to the infrastructure, let that flood. So Kevin, anything to say about that for briefly?
Yeah, I'm Kevin Sumner with Y Engineers, 10505 North College Avenue. We've actually looked at Grubbs Ditch based off another project I did on the same site previously. There's flood zone associated with Grubbs Ditch, but it's further downstream, closer to, I think, Matthews. FEMA blown out FEMA, but IDNR has actually studied it a little bit more, I think probably because of some drainage problems. And so we're aware of it, and it'll be part of what we take into account when we design this project.
So the city has talked about connectivity, walkability, unlike the person who just spoke, not having to drive across the interstate, having some amenities that people can walk to because of the development to the east, the apartments to the west, doing trails and sidewalks along the streets there. I mean, there's kind of a desire that it not be completely car centric, and that's the only place you can go to is west of I-65. That's the goal here. The city has made that a goal, has talked about that as a priority for this area to allow some other things on the east side of the interstate as things begin to develop. With Alpha Laval's expansion of jobs at the new industrial facility at the northeast corner of 65 and County Line Road, with Henderson Hauser's 400 new jobs, there's going to be a need for this size and type and quality of housing. And I would rebut the last speaker to say, we're not a good developer, or we build a rough condition, or we would have a bad neighborhood. That's not who Ryan Homes is, based on what you heard from our client, the developments that they've done. That's just not the kind of development. These are really nice, single family detached homes with amenities, and they do a good job. 400,000 homes are not bad or rough neighborhood. So I would ask you to favorably recommend to the county council our approval. And again, thank you for your attention tonight.
We have 5 minutes for the remonstrators for closing remarks. Oh. Was there anybody online who would like to speak as part of the rebuttal by petitioner?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. This is Jerry Hansen. I live at.
Have you had the oath administered to you?
I have not.
No one else in this room has.
Yes, we had 6 or 7 stand up to be sworn in before. Can you swear him in?
Yes. Do you swear on premises perjury, the testimony is true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
We need to see that.
We need to see him to do that.
Sir, could you turn your camera on? Do you have video?
Yeah, you got to be both heard and seen.
I don't know.
Absolutely. I'm trying to do this from my kitchen, so I apologize, but I will turn it on. Good evening.
Here we go.
Again, this is Jerry Hansen. I live at 6996 East County Line Road. My biggest concern throughout the documentation that was mailed to us, they talked about traffic studies and so on. It is before the apartments at Combs and County Line went in, and the apartment homes on the north side of County Line went in. Before that, we had a traffic issue. Sometimes the traffic can even get backed up all the way to Arlington. And now all this new building and what have you, the road should have been widened or passed through 15 years ago. Nothing's ever been done. I think it's probably because, from what we hear, a disagreement between 2 counties. And it's probably why it's not happened. But there's major concern over traffic here. I just don't know how people, the gentleman talked about where you enter from 5 Points. Most people are going to be coming down County Line going east. I don't know how they even get in there. They'll be backed up. It'll take them forever to get inside this new area that they're proposing. So that's my biggest concern. We can't even get out of our driveway sometimes. It's like going to rush hour traffic and without a light to count on. And that's happening already. This is going to cause even more traffic. The gentleman spoke about the new Lennar development that's just down the road from where they're proposing on 5 Points. We're not even talking about the traffic from that yet. I just don't understand with people looking at stuff like this, engineers and planners, and nobody's done anything about the traffic on County Line, and we're just stuffing more stuff in a small area. It doesn't make sense to me. Don't understand why someone's not done something about it before now, and now we're just going to continue to ignore the problem. And I just don't see. The gentleman spoke about a study, but I think that's just honestly put in there just as a bullet item, and I don't think anything's going to be done. So that's my major concern, is about the traffic.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So the petitioners took it out of context. So that's saying, I don't think that their housing development is going to bring in bad people. I think that if we keep pushing more and more development to the area, it's going to get worse. But you're also building houses that they didn't tell us what the smallest lot size is on the map. At the mid 400s, the small lot size could be a hard selling point for the house. And then the commercial development. I work in Pittsburgh every day. I go to Brownsburg to go and eat lunch or whatever I need to do. Putting the stores in front of the houses, those 6 stores, they might be traveled to, but for the bulk of people shopping and what they need to do, they're not going to go to those stores. The people that are working in the warehouses, they're not going to go there. They're going to cross 65 and go to those restaurants or stores. They're not going to go to a small 6 stores stuck right in front of houses. And the walkability thing, I understand for the city of Greenwood. But when you go to the east side, we're further away from it. We're not the people that are wanting that. It's just like going over towards Center Road. The area does not desire that. It's not the same thing. I grew up in the Oaks, and then I moved to El Dorado 2 in Center Grove. Then I now moved out here to the east side. The desire was never for walkability. I wanted a space that gave me my own area and I wasn't feeling congested. When it comes down to the area, if there's 6 stores parked right in front of our houses, we're gonna have more traffic issues. And those 6 stores are gonna be mom and pop type places maybe, but they're gonna be the same coffee shops, the same little stuff that you can go 2 miles and get. It doesn't make sense to put those stores right there. You could take those and put them towards the commercial block over by the apartments. But it doesn't make sense to put them right in front of residential houses and then residential on the other side of it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Close the public hearing. Questions, comments?
Mr. President, I do have a comment for regarding the staff report.
Yes.
Sorry. Wasn't here for me. Staff worked with the petitioner up really until the meeting to refine commitment number 5 and propose commitment number 8. So I'd like to propose amended language to staff commitment 5 and 8.
We're gonna have to slow down and make sure they can get it.
Yep, and the petitioner did pass out handouts that include the commitments on them, so you can read it word for word when you do your motion, or you can adopt it as written in the attachment and we can reference that attachment. But number 5, we'd like to amend it to say any commercial buildings that have rear facades which are adjacent to and oriented towards Grubbs Ditch shall treat those rear facades as front facades for commercial building design standard purposes. The goal and intent is that there is a proposed multi-use trail that runs along Grubbs Ditch. An inviting atmosphere if you were in the home south of there and you took the trail, pedestrian paths across the creek, that you're not greeted by blank walls and dumpsters and the back sides of buildings, that it appears to be a front. Number 8, we also worked on the language there. At least one outdoor gathering area with landscaping and or hardscaping features shall be provided between the commercial buildings and Grubbs Ditch. The outdoor gathering area may or may not be associated with the commercial use. Examples include a restaurant's outdoor seating area, a child care playground, a gazebo or shade structure connected to the trail system, or other recreational outdoor uses. Again, we're trying to create some type of welcoming environment, a plaza area, outdoor cafe seating, etc., that would be walkable to the houses. Regarding the staff report, staff was favorable of the zone map change. We did include a number of recommended commitments. Some were for both the RM and the CM portion, and some were related only to the CM portion with the 2 that I modified. The petitioner also provided their own 8 commitments that they've agreed to, and we've discussed the commitments, and they are accepting of staff recommended commitments. One thing, just to address the general comments, we did get a lot of feedback during our comprehensive planning process that people want neighborhood commercial. They want to be able to walk to a restaurant. They want to be able to have services where they live. And we also got a lot of concerns and complaints about traffic, which I think comes up in any plan that you do in any city. But part of that is if we only are going to develop large lot residential homes east of I-65 until the end of our border, that is going to stress our arterial roads, our collector roads, our east-west connections, because everyone will have to get in their car to drive across 65 to get to a restaurant. So I don't think it is necessarily fair to remonstrate against a commercial use being located within walking distance and also complain about traffic, because locating goods and services where people live, neighborhood commercial services, allows for more people to take options to walk or bike, or if they're taking a vehicle trip, they're not driving across 65 and congesting County Line Road or Main Street, but they're driving a short distance to get to that coffee shop or that restaurant that they want to go to. Aside from that, staff is here to answer any questions you might have.
Are there new pedestrian bridges going across Grubbs Ditch?
Yeah, so the plans that they have conceptually provided did show that there would be 2, and then there's also a path that would follow the road. So you would really have 3 connections to the commercial area from the residential area. And then staff did, as a one of our recommended commitments, said road require a minimum of 2 pedestrian connections over Grubbs Ditch. So that is one of our recommended conditions. With that, We would potentially defer to you guys on, in the future, if vehicular connectivity was appropriate there as well, or if we want to restrict that to just neighborhood walking and trail access. But yeah, there would be 2 pedestrian bridges if the commitments are approved, as well as along the road, there would be a trail that would follow the road.
So one of those is at the north end court, crossing Grubbs Ditch.
Yep, both of them.
And the other is mid-span for the road that parallels Grubbs Ditch.
They would both cross over Grubbs Ditch, going north-south.
But what I'm saying, where it's located, it's kind of
Yes.
mid-span on the road
Yep.
that parallels it.
Yep. That is correct.
Thank you.
Can I address one thing that was brought up during the remonstrance?
Absolutely.
On County Line Road, there was a statement made that there's a disagreement between 2 counties that who maintains the road. I think it's, in legal, correct me if I'm wrong, fairly delineated in state law who has to maintain that road, and that is Marion County.
That's in Indianapolis.
Correct, and they are aware of that. Whether they maintain it or do anything to adjust traffic on it is another discussion, but they are made aware of these developments. They have scoped traffic studies with us along County Line Road, so they're involved in the traffic study portion of it, and they're made aware of the results of those traffic studies as well.
That's not Greenwood's road to maintain or to expand or to do anything else with, correct?
That's correct. I just had to give that citation to someone today. For those of you who are interested, it's Indiana Code 8-17-1-45, that all counties are responsible for the construction, design, maintenance, and care of their southern and eastern boundaries. County Line Road is the southern boundary for Indianapolis, the consolidated city of Indianapolis and Marion County.
And that includes right away to the south of that road, correct?
Anything that would serve the road itself.
Thank you, Ms. Coons.
I guess I just wanted to say I'm not totally opposed to the commercial area being on the northwest part of the space. It reminds me a lot of the Southwick addition on the corner of Sheep and Woodsville, where there's Camila's Restaurant, Chicago's Pizza, and Nana's Daylight Donuts. It reminds me a lot of that. And there's a gazebo public space right behind it. There's walkable space. There's a lot of trails. And granted, there's a lot more homes, but it didn't start out with as many homes as it has now. When I first built there in 2009, it was just a small space, and it still felt cozy and warm. The traffic did get worse over time, which led to a 4-lane road off of Warsville. But again, it's monitored and controlled by Marion County, not us on County Line.
And Chicago's Pizza is a sponsor of the Greenwood Sports Park, and they have a deal. I think they supply pizzas to the concession stands, and they also advertise for the ball teams that play there. Hey, come on over here and have your lunch while you're playing a tournament.
Locally owned franchises can be good for the communities as well. I mean, I can see what the local remonstrators are feeling, but I also see the benefits on the other side.
Anybody else?
Yeah, it's just to echo Dave's point, during the development of the most recent comprehensive plan, we did strive to include several commercial nodes east of the interstate because of the problem Gabe mentioned. If you don't have any commercial east of the interstate, then everybody who lives over there has to cross 65 and somehow get to the existing commercial on the west side of 65. So this is very consistent with the most recent comprehensive plan.
Mr. Walker, do you have questions or concerns?
No, sir.
Anybody else with commission? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry, there are
I
statutory
just want to make sure that
criteria.
I remind you, because Mr. Berger did address them. You are recommending this annexation and the zoning component, so you are to pay reasonable regard to the following criteria in making your recommendation to the legislative body. 1, the comprehensive plan. 2, the current conditions and the character of current structures and uses in each district. 3, the most desirable use for which the land in each district is adapted. 4, the conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction of Greenwood. And 5, responsible development and growth.
Thank you.
And with that, I move that the petition for annexation of approximately 80.9 acres located at the southwest corner of East County Line Road and North Five Points Road, which is contiguous to the city of Greenwood, Johnson County, Indiana, as set forth therein, receive a favorable recommendation from this commission to the Greenwood Common Council, and that the same be certified to the Greenwood Common Council in the form presented with all of the commitments that we were presented in this attachment.
And you're referring to the commitments to the sheet, the staff recommended commitments?
Yes, there are a total of 16 numbered ones.
8 staff.
Yeah, 2 apply to the RM and CM portion. 8 apply to the CM. 8 were proposed by the petitioner and apply to, I would say both. Overall, yeah.
We have a motion by Mr. King. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Milborn.
This is only for annexation. This references zone map.
Well, yes, because you have to, they are rezoning the property. When it's annexed, it has to have a zoning classification. They are asking that the zoning classification be CM and RM.
I didn't mention that, it doesn't matter.
No, it's, you're making the recommendation on the entire petition.
Okay.
So that's the
I just wanna make
annexation
sure.
with the
That's a
zoning.
portion that's buried
Yes.
within.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Are there any other questions or comments before we take a roll call vote? Seeing none. Mr. Lexi?
Aye.
Mr. Walker?
Aye.
Price? Aye. Mr. Milborn?
Aye.
Mr. Probst?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Stambaugh?
Aye.
Mr. St. John? Aye. I too will say aye. So this carries at 9-0. Good luck with your project. Is there any new business from the floor? Announcements.
Election day is in 1 week and 1 day. Don't forget, rock your vote.
But, yeah.
Nothing.
Can vote or
Is the next meeting the 13th?
The next meeting is Wednesday, November 13th.
I will be unavailable by in person or by Zoom, not available.
Okay. If not, I would accept one additional motion.
Motion to adjourn.
We adjourned at